Alright, hi guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just walk you through the Design Space tutorial real quick, just so you guys know how to do it and make it easier for you when you go to make the bows. So I just uploaded this template real quick into my Design Space. I went ahead and made it public so you guys can access it. I'm gonna go ahead and share the link to it when I post the video. Just also for a side note, I just googled free bow template SVG and clicked on the first one that I saw. They're all pretty much the same unless you want to do a specific one like the butterfly ones or the mermaid tail ones. This one's just your basic bow. I also apologize in advance. My son is watching Mickey Mouse, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. So to start, I just put it in here and then I go ahead and hit ungroup. And just so you guys know, I am using my phone, just easy use right now, so it might not look the same as yours. But I want to go ahead and ungroup it, and then I notice that these two are still together, so I'm going to go ahead and ungroup again. Now this step you don't have to do, I just do it because it's easier for me. I'm going to go ahead and take this small piece and slightly attach it to the middle of the back piece. So I will select both of those and hit weld to make it one. Now, you don't have to do this. I see this because I do this only because it's easier for me to wrap that piece around the center when it's already connected to the bow. So if I were to just glue it, it would move around a little bit and not be as tight. Whereas if it's connected to the bow already, it gives me a little bit more strength and reinforcement. So by all means, you don't have to do it. If you don't, you'll just have another extra step that it'll cut out for you and you'll have to glue that together as it is. So just kind of an overview, this oval piece is the front part of the bow and this pointy piece is the back part of the bow. So this back piece was the buffalo plaid pattern in my photo, and then this front piece was the gold glitter in my photo. So once I have that all done, I will go ahead and select both of these and just mess with the sizing. So I'm going to go ahead and set it at 4.5 inches roughly right now. It doesn't have to be super exact. I just kind of get it within a couple centimeters. So in my picture, the bow that I have is about 4 inches. I always like to scale up in Design Space about 1/2 inch. Because if you look, you're going to size them both together. It makes it more uniform and it gives it a better look. Whereas if you size them two different sizes or separately, it'll look kind of awkward because one bow will be bigger than the other. It's just a rule of thumb. Always size them together unless that's not what you're trying to go for. So if you notice, the reason why I size up is because the little overhang of the oval doesn't match up with the pointy parts. So that extra, 1/2 inch kind of gives a leeway to make it about 4 inches. So now that we have that done, we can go ahead and select to make it. You do not need to attach these together, and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm not going to show anything past this part only because my machine is not hooked up and I already have them all cut out so I can show you guys how to assemble them. So right here, we have a couple newbies or people that just don't know this, you can click on anything that's on your mat and move it around. This works for everything. So say you can also move between mats. So say that I'm cutting like 10 bows out right now and they don't all fit onto one mat. I will have another mat on here. I can actually click on an object and hit 3 dots and hit move object. That brings up my mat. So I can switch mats where I want things to go. But right now I'm just cutting one bow, so there's not a whole lot to do. Now, for my bows, I made like 7 at a time. So I used a whole sheet of 12 by 12. So I cut out all of buffalo plaid and then I cut out all of gold. So I didn't necessarily do this next part, but if you guys only want to make 1 or 2 bows at a time, this would probably be good for you. So say I want my front piece to be gold and my back piece to be black, but I only want to use one mat. So I'll go ahead and just separate them onto opposite sides of the mat, and then notice how this back piece doesn't extend past 2 and doesn't extend past 4. So I will go ahead and lay my faux leather down onto the mat, and I will cut at 2 and at 4, and then I will do it down here as well. So for this piece, I'll lay it down on the mat and I'll cut at 10, and then I'll cut at 5. And that works for everything. So if you use vinyl, I do it this way too. Iron-on, cardstock, you name it. So once I have everything laid out, I'm going to go ahead and choose continue, and it's going to take me to my settings to get everything set up to cut. So with faux leather, you always want to put the pretty side down on the mat. So the ugly felt back or canvas back is going to be up exposed. Now for the settings, if you have the maker, you go ahead and just search in your materials for faux leather. I select faux leather, and then it's got like parentheses that say paper thin. And I select that one. And then I usually leave the pressure to just default. For the Explore machines, you're going to go ahead and set your dial to custom. And then again, search in your materials for that faux leather. So if my machine, it'll do 2 passes. No matter what pressure you have it on, it will do 2 passes of the cut to kind of cut all the way through. So when I go ahead and cut it, if I notice that it doesn't cut all the way through in some spots, I'll take my X-Acto knife and I'll kind of retrace the line so that it'll cut through in the areas that didn't reach exactly. Now you can also adjust the pressure if you want to more or less. I noticed that the Hobby Lobby brand of faux leather cuts perfectly on the default pressure, so I don't mess with that unless I know that I have a really thick material. So yeah, once you guys have your settings and your blades in, I go ahead and just use the blade that comes with the machine. It's the fine point blade. It seems to work perfectly. I also check my blade every time I cut to make sure that there's no like debris caught in it. And that you just do that by taking it out of the clamp and pressing the little top button or lever almost, and it exposes the blade. Once you do that, you'll be able to see if there's any like stuck vinyl or cardstock or whatever material you use. And then this is just to kind of be proactive about trying not to waste any material. So once I do that, I go ahead and hit go. I load my mat and hit cut. And then if you guys keep watching, I will go ahead and have the assembly tutorial video up in a minute. Alright guys, so we are going to go ahead and get started on the assembly video. I'm going to apologize in advance for my child playing with his toy in the background if it starts to go off. So let's get started. Okay, so I have these 2 pieces of leather. They were included in the bundle when I bought my Cricut. They are super thin. This is not normally the type of leather that I use, but it'll do for the video. I usually use a thicker material. The faux leather that I use has like a thicker felt backing, so it's it takes a little bit more effort for it to cut through. This one was pretty seamless, but this will do for now. So I have these 2 pieces, and then I have my alligator clip. I actually bought my alligator clip in a pack of like 100 off Amazon for like $10. So depending on what you're trying to use the bow for exactly, sorry, my iPad fell. Depending on what you're trying to use the bow for, whatever clip you have on hand or whatever clip you want to use would work fine. I've actually also made these bows as bookmarks with a paper clip on them. I've also put string on them and hung them on my tree. So whatever you want to do works perfect. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun, or I use hot glue or the E6000 or E600 brand of glue. They both work perfect. I'm going to take one of my pieces, so one of these oval pieces, and put a dab of glue right in the middle. And then I'm going to take either end and attach it to the glue and have it meet in the middle. So just like that. I don't know if you can kind of see that very well. And then I'll hold there for a second just to let it set while pulling all of the hot glue string off of it. Okay, and then you want to make sure that you try to line it up as best as possible. As you can see, this side kind of didn't line up very well because you can see the backing of it right there. Oh, sorry. It's not a huge big deal. No one's really going to notice it. You can also just flip it over and use the other side. So then you take our back piece and you put another dab of glue. This one got messed up. Let me grab another back piece. Hold on. Okay, you put another dab of glue in the middle. And like so. You were gonna take your bow piece that you made and put that on top. So it'll look like that. So I go ahead and hold it there for a minute or two just so it can set a little bit better. You want to make sure to try and line it up as best as possible. What's the matter? And then once that's good, I usually leave this on the bottom. So obviously, as you can see, this... What's wrong? Sorry guys, I'll try to speed it up a little bit. This is the front side. So when I go ahead and just put my clip on, I turn it over, and then I put a line of glue on the back so I can stick my clip on there. And then I take the smooth side and I put that on the glue. It doesn't matter what direction, if it's facing left or right, it doesn't matter, unless you obviously have like an embellishment on there. So I just hold that down for a minute so it'll set again. Get all this excess glue off. Alright, so it looks like that. The clip is on the back. So then I take this piece and I fold it backwards like that. See, that's technically the front. You can see the pebbled texture. I open the clip and slide that under. And then I kind of pull it tight so it can get a nice snug fit under there. And then when I have that done, you can see that that texture is not the pebbled texture. That is actually the back of it. So it's kind of like a felt material. So then I'll go ahead and put some glue on that strip. Come on. And then once I have glue on that strip, I'll go ahead and just fold it over, and I'll kind of like tug it down to cover it entirely. And then I'll try to pull any of the glue pieces off. And there you have it. There is your nice, cute little bow. Like I said, I've used these for so many things besides just hair bows and headbands. Paper clips attached to them, they make great bookmarks. I've actually used them on the tree, like I said. So if you guys have any more questions, just send me a message. I hope this video helps some of you guys out and gets you started on your bow journey. Like I said, it's super simple. Do not get overwhelmed by it at all. I will be here to help if you need it. Alright guys, thanks for watching.